gigantic face masks of bean flour and egg white, and I rarely noticed her beauty any more. "We should have delayed longer, Leonello," she was fretting. "You aren't fit to travel yet, no matter what the surgeon said." 2 days of that swill the French call food was quite bad enough, Madonna Giulia. More would have killed me. It took every ounce of concentration I had to speak coherently around the sluggish, pain-filled exhaustion. My tongue might as well have been made of stone. "Was it really only 2 days?" Giulia stroked her daughter's golden head, where it slumbered against her shoulder. Little Laura wasn't even 2 years old yet, but even she had felt the tension of the past few days, clinging to her mother like a limpet. "It felt like a year." "Thanks be to the Virgin, I spent most of it unconscious. Or perhaps it was Santo Giuliano, the hospitaller, that I should thank in my prayers. He had a soft spot in his heart for killers like me. I've killed more than Frenchmen in my day, and for darker reasons than the defense of the Pope's mistress." The carriage felt stuffy, and I reached out my splintered fingers to nudge open the shuttered window. A wave of pain flashed through my hand, and I had to bite down savagely on the inside of my cheek. French boots had stamped on my hand, trying to get my knife away. Every finger was broken, and the littlest finger gone altogether. The French surgeon had made a clean, cauterized stump of the mangled thing at the same time he had splintered my other fingers, probed and cleaned my wounds, drained blood and excised bone splinters, purged and bandaged, and did whatever else surgeons did to keep their victims alive. It must have worked. Whatever he did while I was unconscious, because I was no longer bleeding from every orifice. Most of my hurts had faded into a dull roar of pain limping along below the surface. All except the hand. It was the chest wound that nearly killed me, but somehow it was my mangled hand that hurt the worst, a bright, white-hot flash of agony every time I moved. "It doesn't matter," I reminded myself whenever I looked at my remaining splintered fingers. "You don't need a little finger to throw your knives." My knives had been returned to me, with elaborate French compliments, of course, for my bravery. May God rot them all. My mistress caught the flash of pain across my face. Of course she did. She was a whore, after all, even if she did have only the one illustrious patron, and she could read men as easy as I read the pages of my favourite books. "Your hand." "Leave your fussing, Madonna," I said irritably, pushing back the blackness that threatened to swamp my vision every time I moved. "I assure you I haven't travelled in such comfort in all my life. I feel like a sultan." Madonna Giulia had her carriage back. The French general had tactfully returned the stolen horses and even added a wicker-bound flask of his own wine, should La Bella find herself thirsty on the day's ride to Rome. My mistress had displaced her sister and mother-in-law to ride with her maidservants, and insisted I take the whole second seat for myself so I could make the journey lying down in comfort. But my pride demanded that I sit upright, and La Bella scolded me for being a stiff-necked fool, and pride and pain and scolding together had me half lying and half sitting, and altogether half comfortable. It was still better than being crammed into the wagons with all the rest of the servants, and for that I had to thank her. "I wasn't going to have you bumping all the way back to Rome in that jolting wagon," she returned. "Not after what you did for me." "It doesn't matter." I drank in the cold air from the open window, the wind coming in to slap at my unshaven cheeks. The dry brown hills were empty of passers-by. One look at the mass of swaggering soldiers and the French lilies on their rippling flags, and every villager within eye or earshot went to ground. We might as well have been riding through a land of ghosts. "Though it was quite an impressive tantrum you pitched this morning until they moved me," I conceded. "All that shrieking and stamping of feet." "Yes, I've gotten very good at tantrums, haven't I? It may only have been 2 days, but I think the French are quite glad to see the back of me." My mistress had a temper sweet as honey and a nature as easy-flowing as a running stream. In ordinary days, her servants doted on her and took shameless advantage of her, but for the French, she played an entirely different role. She'd put on a splendid performance as the Pope's pampered mistress, throwing fits, hurling insults, and exploding into tears at the slightest provocation. She looked very grand in her sumptuous travelling furs, and when she moved to wrap Laura more soundly in her own cloak, I saw the gleam of a huge pearl at her throat. I tilted my head. "They let you keep that?" "Yes," Madonna Giulia looked down.